On problems 15 and 16, the directions tell us to graph the image of the figure with the given points after a dilation with the given scale factor. So these are our given points. This is our given scale factor. The center of dilation for both problems is the origin. Remember, the origin is the specific point 0, 0, where the x and the y-axis intersect. Don't forget, you need to label your image points. So the points of your dilation, if your original points are J, U, and W, the image points will be J prime, U prime, and W prime. Finally, you want to write the rule for the dilation using coordinate notation. So the first thing, even though it doesn't tell us we have to do this, I'm going to graph the original points first. So J is at -1, -1, U is at 1, 3, and W is at 0, -2. So I'm going to use the straight edge part of my compass to connect those points so that I have my original triangle. And the reason for doing this, even though the directions don't tell us we have to, is that when I draw my dilation, I can make sure that it makes sense, that it follows the properties of dilations that we've been studying. So now that I have my original figure graphed, I can figure out the coordinates of my dilation. So remember, the rule for a dilation when your center is the origin, this only works when your center is the origin, is that you simply multiply the x and the y by the scale factor. So this is the general rule: multiply the scale factor by x and by y. So to find the coordinates of J prime, I just multiplied the -1 by 3 and get -3. -1 times 3 is -3. So J prime is at the point -3, -3. U prime, 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So U prime is going to be off my grid here because I only go as high as 3, 6. So I'm just going to kind of guess here. That would be 7, 8, and 9. So I'm going to put a point way up here off the grid and label it U prime. And then for W prime, 0 times 3 would be 0. -2 times 3 is -6. So 0, -6 places W prime on the y-axis. So the last thing I'm going to do, since we're dilating the triangle, is to actually connect these image points to make my dilation. So I'm connecting these with my straight edge. And then I'm going to check to make sure that my result makes sense. So a couple of things to check for. Since my scale factor was larger than 1, I know that my figure was getting bigger. And so here's my original, and then the blue is my image. It definitely got larger. The other thing is, remember, the sides of my pre-image and the side of my image have to be parallel, which that appears to be the case as well. And that each side of my image is 3 times as long as its corresponding side of the pre-image, the original. Don't forget, make sure you label the image points and that you write the rule in coordinate notation. This is the general rule for a dilation from the origin, but our k value is given. So our specific rule is to take any general point xy and find the new point by multiplying the x by 3 and the y by 3. So it's simply putting in the correct value for k.